Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm Rabbi Jessica Zimmerman Graf, the senior rabbi at Congregation Shereth Israel, joined by Cantor Toby Glaser on the drums in the sanctuary, Rabbi Abby Phelps, our amazing rabbi educator who is out there somewhere. She'll be leading the second part of the service, so you'll hear from her shortly, and Jonathan Dimmock, our awesome music director who is at the piano. We want to welcome you to Shabbat morning services at Shereth Israel, and especially to this incredible day, which is Jacob Greenspan Barrett's long-awaited bar mitzvah. So we say Mazal Tov to the Greenspan and Barrett families who have had a long, long history at Shereth Israel. And as Louise was just saying, she became bat mitzvah just on the bima right behind Cantor Glaser a few years ago, as well as Ella on that bat mitzvah we got to celebrate with. And we're really looking forward, Jacob, to having you lead us this morning. So to begin your bar mitzvah ceremony, I'm going to ask you to hold up the beautiful talit that I believe was a gift from your parents. Is that true? I think so. And I'm going to have you repeat the blessing right after me as you put on this talit on this morning of your bar mitzvah. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav.
Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav.
Vitzivanu.
Vitzivanu.
Lehitatef.
Lehitatef.
Batzitzit.
Batzitzit.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to wrap ourselves in these sacred fringes. And you can put it on you.
I'd like to just say this was the same talis that my father and I and Ella and my brother all were called to the Torah in. So it's a family tradition.
Beautiful. And as I said to Jacob and family just a few minutes ago before we joined you all here in the sanctuary, on this special Shabbat morning, which is a changed date from the original, we find ourselves, as the Jewish people have many times throughout history, in a period of somewhat strange upheaval, and yet Jewish life perseveres, and we continue to build community, to study Torah, to bring kids into adulthood, and to survive and thrive. So Jacob, you are part of a resilient generation that has learned from the resilient generations before us, and we go forward to build Jewish community. So we'll continue with the beautiful words of Ma Tovu as we come together in our sanctuary, and in some ways you have an even more beautiful view of the dome because we're up a little bit closer than we would be if we were downstairs.
Just a little.
Ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, va'ani berov chastecha, havo vetecha, eshtacha ve'achal kodshecha, be'yiratecha, ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, משכנותיך ישראל, משכנותיך ישראל.
We continue with Elohai Neshama as we thank God for so many miracles that are around us everywhere in the world.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, שנתת בי, שנתת בי, טהורה היא, טהורה היא. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לשכפי בינה, להבחין בין יום ובין לילה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, פוקח עברים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, מתיר אסורים. אלוהי, אלוהי, נשמה, נשמה, שנתת בי, שנתת בי, טהורה היא, טהורה היא. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוז ישראל בגבורה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוזר ישראל בתפארה. אלוהי, אלוהי, נשמה, נשמה, שנתת בי, שנתת בי, טהורה היא, טהורה היא. אלוהי, אלוהי, נשמה, נשמה, שנתת בי, שנתת בי, טהורה היא, טהורה היא.
We continue with Psalm 150, the last of our psalms that invites us to praise God with every instrument, including our voices. And I love the line about using the shofar as we enter into the month of Elul. We're starting to think about the shofar and the awakening that it gives us. Psalm 150.
Hallelujah, 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 el bekocho, hallelujah, birkia uzo, hallelujah, bigvurotav, hallelujah, kerov godlo, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 בתקע שופר, hallelujah, בנבל וחינות, hallelujah, בתוף ומחול, hallelujah, במינים ועוגב, hallelujah, 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 בצלצלי שמה, hallelujah, בצלצלי תרועה, hallelujah, בצלצלי שמה, hallelujah, בצלצלי תרועה, כל הנשמה תהלל יה, הללויה, כל הנשמה תהלל יה, הללויה.
morning blessings are called Birkot HaShachar and Pesukei de Zimra, this morning first part of our service, which is intended to wake us up and warm up our voices. So when we come to this part of our service for the Baruch Hu, we are ready to call out, we are here. God, count us in this minyan, in this community. So if you're able to, wherever you are, and it's your custom, please rise for the Baruch Hu. We will continue with the central part of the morning blessings.
Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Praise God every morning for the sun which comes up and gives us warmth. Praise are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly things.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvoreh choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvoreh choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvoreh choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol.
Ahava Rabba Ahavtanu, how deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion on account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah.
והערננו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. אבינו לשלום ארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו כמו מיוד לארצנו, כי אל פה ישועות אתה, ובנו ברכת והרכבתנו שמך הקדוש אלה באמת. להודות לך יחדך באהבה, ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
We'd like to invite our bar mitzvah to lead us in Ve'ahavta.
All right. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל נפשך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי נצר בך היום על לבניך, ושיננתן לבניך, ודיברת בם בשיטך ותבתך, ולבתך לדרך, ובשובתך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצא אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
I really wish I were standing next to you because I'd give you a giant high five for that awesome chanting.
Beautiful, yasher koach.
Shakoach. Thank you, Jacob. We continue with the words of Micha Mocha. Whenever we're together, we recall our freedom from the slavery, the exodus that allowed us to choose the kind of world that we want to build, and the freedom that we must work to bring to everyone. Micha Mocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים.
We prepare now for the Amidah, the central part of our service. We set our own kavanah, each of us, the intention of our own hearts, as we join that kavanah with the keva, with the words of our ancestors that have been passed down to us for today and for every day, as we prepare to call out to God.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהייך ציון, לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו amen.
Just before we head into our Torah service, I want to welcome another guest who is part of the Shalshelet HaKabbalah, the chain of unbroken history of your family at this congregation. Rabbi Julie Sachs-Thaler is with us, with you, with all of us this morning, and has been part of your life, Jacob, since you were a little tiny baby. And here you are on this morning of your bar mitzvah. So we welcome you, Rabbi Sachs-Thaler, to join us this Shabbat and every Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom, Mazel Tov.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Yes, please join us anytime. We have arrived at a very important and I think a slightly bittersweet moment in our service. It is time to begin our Torah service. And normally the way we would begin this service is with a really beautiful ritual of taking the Torah out of the ark and handing it to members of Jacob's family, to his grandparents, so that they could pass it to his parents, so that they could pass it to him. It's a beautiful ceremony, and of course it's not fully possible in this time of pandemic when we're all sequestered in our own homes. But I do want to say that the important thing to recognize about that ritual is that it is a ritual and that it has a symbolic purpose. And that symbolic purpose is still being absolutely fulfilled by what we're doing here today. The symbolic purpose is to show that the Torah is Jacob's sacred inheritance, and that what is happening today is that his family is joining the long chain of Jewish transmission, passing that Torah down from generation to generation, so that he too can inherit it, can own it as an adult member of the Jewish community, can interpret it in his own way for his own time, and someday pass it on to others whom he will have the opportunity to teach. So although we miss that ritual, we miss the physicality of it, we know in our hearts that we are engaging that ritual in a way right this very moment by giving Jacob the opportunity to share his Torah with us today. So we'll start by singing some blessings to introduce the Torah into our midst.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udvar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, bikedosh Torah.
Jacob, we invite you to once more chant the Shema for us.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Do you have the Echad Eloheinu text in front of you?
That part. You know what?
If you don't have it,
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
beautiful, Yasher Koach. Well, in just a moment, Jacob is going to have the opportunity to read to us from the Torah, which is going to be very exciting. Actually, in just a moment, his father is going to have the opportunity to read to us from the Torah, and then Jacob will take over and do quite a bit of reading for us. We do want to acknowledge that part of the strange circumstances of the pandemic mean that Jacob, who was very much steeped in his parsha, had been doing tremendous learning, was preparing a parsha that is not the usual parsha for this week. And at the very last moment, because we weren't able to meet in person in April for his ceremony, we had to shift that date to today. So unfortunately, the parsha that he was learning was not the one that ultimately is supposed to fall on this day. So what we will get to hear shared with us is that parsha, Parshat Tzav, which is a wonderful parsha and which we got to hear back in April. And I want to do a little bit of including a little bit of this week's parsha as well and making a little connection between the two. Parshat Tzav is mostly about sacrifices, about how to properly perform sacrifices, and Tzav means to command. So this week's parsha is Parshat Shoftim. Shoftim are judges. So commanding and judging seem like they have a fair amount in common, but really we're connecting here divine mandates about how to be in the world with more practical mandates about how to be in the world. Parshat Tzav teaches us if you have transgressed, how to make your relationship right with God and how to make your spiritual relationship and your spiritual self whole. And then Parshat Shoftim teaches us if you've transgressed against other people, what kind of legal system do we need in order to maintain a just society? So they're very much partners with one another. So I'm going to just read a small amount of Parshat Shoftim, and then we're going to go back to Parshat Tzav and allow the Barrett family to take over. So please feel free to join me in your homes if you know the blessing before the Torah. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Shoftim v'shotrim, titen lecha b'chol she'arecha, asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha lishvatecha, v'shaftu et ha'am mishpat tzedek. Lo tateh mishpat, lo takir panim, v'lo tikach shochad, ki ha-shochad ya'aver einei chachamim, v'yisalef divrei tzadikim. Tzedek tzedek tirdof, leman tichiyah, v'yarashta et ha'aretz, asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
And now for our first aliyah, our reader will be Ben Barrett, Jacob's father, but our blessers for this aliyah will be Jacob's paternal family members.
We will call into Torah now.
Yes.
יעמדו דבורה בת סולומון ויהודית, מרדכי מאיה, אלון בן מרדכי ודבורה, יובל יעקב בן מרדכי ודבורה, דניאל יוסף בן סולומון ויהודית, לאה הנה, שלומית בת דניאל ולאה, עדינה שרה בת חיים ויוהנה, יצחק שמואל בן חיים וולף הלוי, יונתן גיל בן יצחק ועדינה, בנימין יהושע בן יצחק ועדינה, עליזה שרונה בת יצחק ועדינה, יוסף בן חיים ויוהנה, חיים יהודה בן יעקב ובליה, לעלייה לתורה.
Yasher koach, Cantor. We invite you who are leading this blessing, those who were just named, the paternal relatives of Jacob Barrett, to go ahead and unmute yourselves and chant the Torah blessing.
If you need some help, I'm happy to start that. Baruch. I will. Baruch et.
Okay.
Sorry, they can't.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Amen.
Amen. Yidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Sahav et Aharon ve'et banav lemor. Zot Torat haolah hi haolah al mokta al hamizbeach o halayla ad haboker ve'esh hamizbeach tukad bo. Belavash hakohen mito bahad umichnase bahad ilbash al bisaro beherim et hadeshen asher tochal haesh et haolah al hamizbeach visamo etzel hamizbeach.
Yasher beautiful. Baruch.
Notain HaTorah.
Amen.
Beautiful. Thank you for that wonderful cacophony of Torah blessing. And now, it truly is wonderful, though. It's quite extraordinary that we're able to do this in this way. I know that you have a far-flung family, Jacob, and it's amazing that we can include folks from all over the globe in this ceremony in this way. So I'm so glad we're getting to do that. So it's now Jacob's opportunity to read some Torah, and for his first Aliyah, the honor of the Aliyah will go to his maternal family members. So Cantor, if you would invite them, please.
יעמדו דבורה בת דניאל ופסח, הדסה בת מיכאל ודבורה, יצחק בן דוד ויושנה, שמואל בן מיכאל ודבורה, חווה בליה בת בנימין וישראליה, חנה אליזה בת שאול ומינה, יוחנה בת דניאל ופסח, מרים בת יוחנה לעלייה לתורה. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'natan lanu et Torah. Baruch Adonai Notain HaTorah.
Amen.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry. Amen. ופשט את בגדיו ולבש בגדים אחרים והוציא את הדשן אל מחוץ למחנה אל מקום טהור והאש על המזבח תוקד בו לא תכבה וביער עליה הכהן עצים בבוקר וערך עליה העולה והקטיר עליה חלבי השלמים אש תמיד תוקד על המזבח לא תכבה.
Yasher koach. Baruch
Atah
Adonai
Eloheinu. Come on, everybody else. Melech
haolam.
Asher
Torah.
Olam
העולם,
בתוכנו,
בתוכנו, אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Yasher Koach all beautifully read and beautifully chanted the Torah blessings as well. And for the next Aliyah, the honor of that Aliyah will go to Jacob's grandparents.
יעמדו יוסף בן נתן, דבורה בת משה, יהודית בת יעקב ובליאס, סולומון בן רבקה ויוסף, לעלייה לתורה.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בך בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
oh, it's this one.
Yes, it is. Amen. Amen. וזאת תורת המנחת הקריב אותה בני אהרון לפני אדוני אל פני המזבח והרים ממנו בכונסו מסולת המנחה ומשמנה ואת כל הלבונה אשר על המנחה והקטיר על המזבח ריח ניחוח אזכרתה לאדוני והנותרת ממנה יאכלו אהרון ובניו מצות תאכל במקום קדוש בחצר אוהל מועד יאכלוה לא תהפך חמץ חלקם נתתי אותה מישי קודש קודשים היא כרתת וחשם כל זכר בבני אהרון יאכלנה חוק עולם לדורותיכם מישי אדוני כל אשר ייגע בהם יקדש.
Yasher Koach. Baruch Ata
אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי העולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. For the penultimate Aliyah, we give this honor to Jacob's parents to bless the Torah as he prepares to read it once more. We are very much working our way through the chain of transmission just as we would have with the Torah passing at the beginning, but in this even more important way where we're all learning words of Torah together. So Jacob's parents, you're up.
יעמדו ישראליה בת יוסף ודבורה, בנימין בן סולומון ויהודית, לעלייה לתורה.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך,
ברוך אדוני
המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן.
אמן. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, זה קורבן אהרון ובניו אשר יקריבו לאדוני ביום הימשך אותו עשירית היפה סולת מנחה תמיד מחציתה בבוקר ומחציתה בערב על מרכבת בשמן תשע מורבכת תביינה תוביני מנחת פיתים תקריב ריח ניחוח לאדוני והכהן המשיח תחתיו בבניו יעשה אותה חוק עולם לאדוני כליל תוקטר.
Yasher Koach.
Yasher Koach. Baruch
אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Beautiful. Yasher koach to your parents as well as to you, Jacob. Now, Jacob has already demonstrated to us that he has mastered his parsha, that he understands blessings, that he is prepared to take his place in the Jewish community, but this is the official moment where he is going to undertake the ritual that is the most central ritual of bar mitzvah, the ritual of uttering the Torah blessings himself. And the Torah blessings, among other things, are a real declaration of one's commitment to Judaism. If you look at the Hebrew language that is used in them, you will see that it is a statement of receiving and taking possession of Torah. So that is what Jacob is about to do right now. If we were in person, I would do a little drum roll for getting ready for this moment. But instead, I will simply invite you, Jacob, to go ahead. Ah, beautiful. Thank you, Cantor Toby. I will invite you, Jacob, to go ahead and read those blessings after Cantor Glaser has had an opportunity to welcome you.
It is Yaakov, right? It's Jacob. Yeah, okay. Ya'amod Yaakov ben Yisrael ve Benyamin l'aliyah laTorah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai havorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar bi asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
וכל מנחת כהן כליל תהיה לא תאכל וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל אהרון ואל בניו לאמור זאת תורת המנחת במקום אשר תשחט העולה תשחט החטאת לפני אדוני קודש קודשים היא הכהן המחטאת אותה יאכלנה במקום קדוש תאכל בחצר אוהל מועד.
Yasher Koach, beautiful chanting.
That one? Yes. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emed v'chayei olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful.
Congratulations, Bar Mitzvah. And now that you have shared with us those literal words of Torah, we want to hear your interpretive words of Torah. We want to hear what your reflections are on this Torah portion today. So we now invite Jacob to share with us his Devar Torah, his own words of Torah.
Appropriately, this is on an iPad. Shabbat Shalom. My Torah portion is Parshat Tzav. Parshat Tzav basically consists of God telling Moses about all the different types of sacrifices. First, there's the burnt offering. It should stay on the altar all night and into the next day. Then there's the homage offering. Flour, oil, and incense are mixed together and put upon the altar, and the remainder of the offering is eaten by Aaron and his sons. There are many more offerings in this chapter, like the meal offering, the reparation offering, the peace offering, the sin offering, the guilt offering, and the well-being offering. But all these offerings should begin with the priest touching them with their bare hands so as to get closer to the sacrifice itself. Using some sort of implement would have made the process feel more distant than using the bare hand. It also made the priest feel more accountable for taking the lives of the animals because they were so close to them. While I was studying this Torah portion, I had many questions. For instance, why are there so many different types of offerings? Why does Aaron wear special clothes for specific offerings? And why are they killing animals in the first place? Couldn't they do something less harmful? For me, all of these questions fall under the banner of the question that is most pressing. How is ritual sacrifice relevant to my life? So, why do we need so many offerings? Well, this was important because it allowed the people to find one that fit their specific circumstances rather than a one-size-fits-all situation. Having a variety of sacrifices allowed people to choose one that fit their situation exactly, whether they needed to atone for their sins or just wanted to give something to God. During biblical times, sacrifice was the status quo for getting what you wanted from God. I can sort of relate to this whole sacrifice to please God thing, because when I want something from my parents, it is best that I sacrifice something of value to me, like time on the room, for example, to make them happy and do what they ask me to do. Clean my room, for example. By doing this, I show my parents how much I value the thing I want. For ancient Israelites, sacrificing animals would have meant giving up some of the most valuable things they owned to God. Another aspect of sacrifice that I can relate to is the formality with which sacrifices were conducted. In Leviticus 6:11, which I just chanted, it says, "He shall take off his vestments and put on other vestments." And to me, the act of putting on unique clothes for each task shows not only the significance, but also the seriousness with which they took this responsibility. The priest cared enough about sacrifices that they would take time to change their outfit. And this idea isn't actually archaic at all. When we go to synagogue, we get dressed up to show the importance of prayer. When you go to your grandpa's 80th birthday lunch, your mom probably makes you put on something a little bit nicer than usual to show respect to him, just as the ancient priests respected and cared for their religious obligations. Despite these connections I can make to the text, the area that I can't relate to at all is the area of killing innocent animals. To me, this whole ritual feels kind of gross. If I were God, I certainly wouldn't want a pleasing incense of burning animals, because it just seems cruel. I would assume that most modern Jews would probably agree with me. And my way of dealing with this is to ask, should we judge the past by our own standards? I would say no. Ancient Israelites didn't really have anything more valuable than animals to sacrifice. They couldn't give up devices or screen time like we can. And morals change over time. Judaism has evolved since the biblical times. In any ways, today we have our own vegetarian replacement for sacrifice, which is prayer. So now the question for me is not how to relate to animal sacrifice, but to the notion of prayer. Here I'm not entirely sure. It would depend on what the purpose of prayer is. If a prayer is asking and expecting God to grant a wish, that's simply something I can't relate to. But if it's kind of going inside myself to figure out what I think, or simply hoping things turn out well for my family and me, that works for me. So, from this ancient Torah portion about the practice of sacrifice, I can actually get a lot of meaning, especially when I think of sacrifice being updated to be prayer. Prayer helps people figure out their intentions and wish others well. I wish to thank many people who helped put me where I am right now. Cantor Fromer, who coached me at the beginning through learning my Torah and half Torah. Rabbi Graf and Rabbi Phelps for giving me endless feedback and advice while writing this drash. All my relatives and friends, some of whom have come across the globe. My grandma, who made me this amazing kippah by hand. I love it. My usually wonderful parents for raising me. And lastly, my sister Ella, who finds me excruciatingly annoying. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for sharing those words of Torah with us. Well, Jacob, you have one more set of words of Torah to share with us today, your Haftarah. So I invite you now to go ahead and read us the Haftarah blessings and chant your Haftarah portion for us.
All right. Oh, the blessing. Where is the blessing?
Yasher Koach, well done.
It's in here.
It is?
Yes.
Sure.
Yep.
There it is. Just looking for the Haftarah blessing.
All right. Oh, also, this Haftarah is Shabbat Hagadol, because that was April 4th's Haftarah. So. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza b'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'b'nviei ha'emet v'asedek. Varva l'Adonai minchat Yehuda v'Yerushalayim kimei ola u'shanim kadmoniot v'karavti alechem lamishpat v'hayiti ed memaher b'mechashvim u'b'mnavafim u'b'nishba'im l'shaker ושקי שכר שכיר, אלמנה ויתום ומטה גר, ולא יראוני, אמר אדוני צבאות. כי אני אדוני לא שניתי, ואתם בני יעקב לא כליתם.
There's a concluding blessing, Jacob. There you
Yeah,
go.
that. No, sure. All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik bechol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh ha'medaber u'mekayem shechol devarav emet v'sedek על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים והיום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת על התורה על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Simen tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu, Helanu, Helanu, Olechol Yisrael, Helanu, Helanu, Olechol Yisrael, Helanu, Helanu, Olechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Olechol Yisrael.
Mazel tov, Jacob. From now on, we're going to do the candy out of the bag right over the kid's head. I love it. Much less. Every other bar mitzvah I've attended.
The remainder of the candy over my head afterward.
Awesome. You can do it however you want without hitting the clergy. That's amazing. But Jacob, it is our privilege as you have blessed us with these words of Torah and with so much learning with your family as part of our community for these generations. Now, as you've come into adulthood at Shereth Israel, you've blessed us and we want to bless you. So if I were standing next to you, I would invite you to come up to the ark with me now, but we are going to go into a breakout room representing just a few quiet moments with me and you and your family at the ark while the rest of the kahal, the congregation, has the chance to hear Cantor Glaser sing some words of blessing. So Gordon, will you help us to shuffle off to Buffalo?
Yep. Hang on one moment and we'll do that. Oh. All right. There we go.
Lech to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach. And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha. And all shall praise your name. Lechi lach. to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, yesimchat chayim lechilach, lechilach, to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechilach, on your journey I will bless you. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechilach. Show you, Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechilach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing, lechilach, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechilach.
Jacob, we welcome you and your family back into our virtual sanctuary after your blessing with Rabbi Graf. We have more blessings that we want to be sure to bestow. So I invite now Lindsay Bronig and Stacy Passman-Lapushin. I believe both of you want to say a few words on behalf of the board to Jacob. I'm not sure who's going first, so I leave it. It looks like it's Lindsay. So Lindsay, why don't you please go ahead?
Sure, thank you. Jacob, Mazel Tov, wonderful, wonderful job. I'm Lindsay Bronig. I'm the president of the congregation, and I've actually known Jacob since he was 3 or 4 years old when Louise and Stacy and I and a number of other women on this call were in a mom's group that Rabbi Julie started that was incredibly formative for me and I think for most of us. And I'm just so, excuse me, that was my phone. I'm just so pleased that my time on the board has coincided with so many of the B mitzvahs of my wonderful friends. It's been such a joy to be able to play this role. Also, I want to say that thank you to your family for being flexible. You were the first B mitzvah that was affected by all of this, and you pivoted, and you really this has been such a wonderful experience. And you know, this is Cantor Glaser's first B mitzvah with us, and I think we can all agree that we have lots of wonderful things to look forward to. So thank you, Cantor Glaser. And then the last thing I want to say is, Jacob, even when you were little, you were still in preschool, you showed how thoughtful and inquisitive and kind you were. You had a sense for yourself and knew your own mind and were able to express yourself.
Oh, so
And
much.
just, I'm so proud to see the young man you've grown into. So Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
Hi, Jacob. I'm Stacy Passman, and I'm on the board of trustees. I have known you from before you were born. I think when I joined Julie Sachs-Tyler's mother's group, Ayelet was 5 months old, and your mother was pregnant with you. And so I've known you since before you were born. What a beautiful family you've had. It's so exciting that you've helped us pivot to this online world, and we really appreciate the great job you've done and all the studying you've done to get here today. So thank you so much, and congratulations to you on behalf of all of Sheriff Israel.
Thank you.
Jacob, it is also my privilege as the rabbi educator at Sheriff Israel to bestow some blessing upon you. So I wanted to say what a pleasure it was to get to know you better over the course of this experience of working with you toward your bar mitzvah, getting to know how your mind works, getting to work with you on that Devar Torah. It was very clear right away how thoughtful and how sharp you were, and how incisively you wanted to look at this Torah portion, and how critical it was to you to find a way to discuss it that felt meaningful and authentic. And I think you really did. And I'm really excited to see you take that energy, that great passion that you have, and that inquisitive mind, as Lindsay said, and bring it into the larger world of Judaism and see where you can apply it and how you can make our Jewish world richer with it. So I very much look forward to that. I hope that one of the things that might help you in that journey is a gift that I hope you have somewhere, yes, near at hand. So the first gift, the gift on top there is actually the gift from the board. So on behalf of Lindsay and Stacy and the entire board of directors, we are offering you this. You don't have to open it now. You can open it later. It's all right. We're offering you a Kiddush cup that we hope will stay with you throughout your life, that you'll be able to use for Jewish rituals throughout your lifetime. And the other gift that seems a little bit more book-shaped is indeed a book. It is an illustrated version of Pirkei Avot. It is essentially Pirkei Avot in graphic novel form. So I hope that you will find it interesting and creative and thoughtful, just as you are, and that it will help you think through your Jewish ideas going forward. And of course, the most important blessings that could possibly be bestowed upon you are by your own parents. So I want to invite your parents, Louise and Ben, to say some words of blessing for you now.
Thank you. Wow, Jacob, what a way to have a bar mitzvah. Planning a bar mitzvah in the middle of a pandemic has been interesting, to say the least. Like so many plans these past 6 months, things shifted constantly. I'm just glad that at least we were able to broadcast live from here to all over the world. And I want to say a deep thank you to everybody who is with us here today online. We want you to know how special it is that you've joined us today. I also want to thank the wonderful clergy at Sheriff Israel. You heard from some of them today. For both the rabbis and the cantors helped us adapt and keep motivated to do the service this way. One person who needs special recognition is Cantor David Frommer. He was the cantor who showed remarkable patience and insight in motivating Jacob to get prepared for today. Cantor Frommer is serving our country in his new duty as a military chaplain at West Point, but he is with us in spirit and may have been on the service for a little bit, but he had his own duties today. But I just want to say publicly, thank you very much, David. So Jacob, I know the rules. I can't read it.
I was lip syncing along the whole
No
time.
embarrassing you and no crying. Okay, maybe a little embarrassing you. I couldn't think of a better person to have a virtual bar mitzvah. We used to joke when you were a baby during video calls to North Carolina that you would think that grandma and grandpa only existed on screen. I'm afraid we may have continued that illusion today. Jacob, you were literally dancing before you could talk. You were singing before you could, you were dancing before you could walk, and you were singing before you could talk.
It rhymes better.
We have photographic evidence that you could play drums both before either of those. I actually think you were born singing, or maybe you were just born talking with very strong opinions about how things were going already. As a toddler, you hated it when your food broke. You demanded that we fix all sorts of things. And let me tell you, putting a kid's Cliff Z-bar back together is pretty much impossible. That is
You did it.
I'd managed.
He did it. He did better than you.
That has morphed over the years into your own fix-it projects. When you were 4 or 5, the printer once stopped working, and I was stumped and could not get it to work.
No.
You pressed some buttons, I heard some beeps, and then you said, Mommy, I fixed the printer. At least I think I did, but I can't read, so I don't know what it says. And you had fixed it. So we've ended up with a full tinkering studio / workshop in a garage. Nowadays, when you need a new desk, you build it. A new lamp, same thing. Stands for the speakers in the music recording studio you created in your room? Check. Your making and builder skills are also strong in the digital realm. When you were tiny, you said that you wanted to be an audio-visual engineer when you grew up. I didn't even know what that was. There was the time Ella accidentally downloaded malware on her computer, and you were walking around downtown San Francisco giving her advice remotely over the phone like an IT professional. People walking by who heard you did double takes when they tried to match the content of your conversation.
You realize what that was before?
With the young person
That was
talking.
during my JGB B.
When we were in shelter in place, like all kids, you spent a lot of time on computer, but you were producing and making music or programming. The way you earned money editing videos was impressive, and now you're working on an app so kids can access the school Whipple Hill website from their phones. Your bedroom is basically a recording studio with a bed and a lot of dirty laundry in it. And then there's the way you negotiate. I think your first word was mine, and then you immediately said because. You have the ability to make a debate out of anything. I'm not sure where that skill is going to take you, but I hope it always keeps you on the correct side of the legal bench in the courtroom. Jacob, you've always made your own harmony. You go your own way. Just like a harmonic verse, you provide balance and energy to this family. Sometimes it's a little out of balance, but you add color either way. You bring energy and excitement to us, and you complete our family. So figuratively, and certainly in spirit, at the synagogue where your uncle, sister, and I were all called to the Torah, I say mazel tov to you. Please use your remarkable talents for good.
Should I?
No, I don't know.
Sure.
Here. Ah, it came off. Okay.
Well, I second everything that your mom just said. And I'd like to add that something I really admire about you is your super intense curiosity. Every single day you ask so many questions. And you've been at this your whole life. When just a toddler, you used to wake us up in the middle of the night, rattling the bars of your crib, howling. And what were you saying? Well, it wasn't, I'm thirsty, or I dropped my kangaroo. It was, Mommy, Daddy, I have a question. I have a question. And when you were older, I bought you a t-ball set, fully expecting you to love the feeling of swinging a bat and hitting a ball across the playground. And when I set it up for you and gave the ball a whack to show you what to do, you looked at me and you asked me with a very puzzled look, Daddy, why'd you do that? Why? And I remember laughing and thinking, I have no idea why I did that. But I gave the ball another tap or two, trying to get you interested. But you had your own ideas. You were much more interested in how the t-ball set was put together. And so you took it apart and tried different combinations, and eventually you decided it would be most useful as a microphone stand. But now you're a long way from howling at 3 a.m. in playgrounds, and you have so many interests where your curiosity continues to flourish. Your room now serves equally as a music studio, and our garage has become your wood shop. These are places where you experiment and ask more questions and find more and more now your own answers. And now on this momentous day, as your dad, among my many wishes for you is that you stay curious and super exuberant, just the way you are, and love you. Okay.
Yasher Koach, to you, Jacob, to the whole family. Thank you for those beautiful words of blessing. We're so happy to see you formally taking your place as a young adult in our community. We look forward to seeing much, much more of you in the future. We're going to take just a moment while we are still under the auspices of the Torah service to ask for healing, to say a prayer for healing for all those in our community who are in need of healing, whether it be of mind, body, or spirit. In particular, today, we hold in our hearts and in our minds Shoshana Chana Asher, Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, William Kurian, and Lenore Levin. To those names, we add any names that you hold in your heart or that you wish to share in the chat. And Cantor Glaser, I invite you to please lead us in words of Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Ekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We bring our Torah service to a conclusion with Eitz Chaim Hi. The Torah is a tree of life to all those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy.
כי לקח טוב נתתי לכם, תורתי אל תעזובו. עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר. דרכיה דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
We've had the opportunity today to appreciate so many members of Jacob's family who've come to join us from all over the globe, but we also want to appreciate those who are no longer with us, but who we still understand to be here in spirit and whom we miss. Our thoughts turn to all those whom we have loved who have departed from this earth, our own family, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. Today, we remember particularly Diane Byrne, sister of Evelyn Manes. Diane died tragically yesterday. We think of her in this first period of mourning, and also those whom we have lost in the last 7 or 30 days. If you are mourning someone for whom you are still in a period of Shiva or Shloshim, please feel free to rise and share their name with us. The perpetual memorials in our community are Judith M. Escalante Melvin, Mara Powell, and Art Rosenberg. If you are in the first year of mourning for a loved one, please rise and share that person's name.
Rachel Pollock Warman.
Today we observe the yahrzeits of Leo Bernstein, Arthur B. Brower, Barbara Diamond, Ann Dimmock, Rose Slobovy Gerber, Lillian Kronberg, Harry Liss, Michael Loring, Ari McGuire, Jack Schoen, Archie Schwartz, Ruth Silverstein, Gertrude Sladnick, Eleanor Sloss, and Herman Spivak. To those names we add all those for whom you are mourning today. We now invite everyone to rise as part of one community together and to join together in the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach v'yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'amei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. V'aseh shalom b'imromav Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, and together we say, Amen. Before we conclude our service, we want to take this opportunity to offer any announcements that we might have. I don't know if the Barrett family has any sort of celebration that they want to let anybody know how to access, or perhaps that's already been taken care of.
We weren't that organized, unfortunately. We were going to try and get a party with a llama because that's what Jacob wanted, but just wasn't in the works. So, but maybe we'll all FaceTime later.
All right, sounds pretty good.
Excuse me.
Does the rest of the clergy team have, oh, I'm sorry, somebody's announcing something.
Gordon, maybe there's a sidebar oneg we could have for this?
We could do that if that is something people would like.
Right. Yeah, sure, that'd be great. You'd be more organized than I was.
Okay, well, we'll throw it in the chat, and people can navigate over there and have a little sidebar, as they say.
Wonderful. Cantor Glaser or Rabbi Graf, do you have anything you want to announce before we can?
Tomorrow morning, our awesome program for kids. It's going to be digital this fall, so you can reach out to us if you're not signed up yet or want to try it out. Also, we have some great upcoming programs on music of the High Holy Days and of our sanctuary, featuring Jonathan on our gorgeous new grand piano and Jonathan on our very special organ, which is, there we go. Oh, Vanna White is showing us where the organ is up there. And featuring also Cantor Glaser and Maurice Kamens, who is our resident shofar maker and blower. So lots of instruments that will help us make the High Holy Days beautiful. And also the entire community is invited to join us for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur this year. So please look at our website or check your email for all kinds of upcoming information, as well as a teeny tiny machzor that is going to be coming your way, and a schedule of events for all of the holidays.
Thank you, Rabbi Graf. And I just want to reiterate the very first thing that Rabbi Graf said, which is that Studio at Shereth Israel is indeed opening tomorrow. Our elementary school through 6th grade program opens tomorrow. Our 7th through 12th grade program opens next Friday. And if you are curious about what Zoom Jewish supplementary education featuring social emotional learning and project-based learning and fun and play might look like, then let me know. We'd love to have you come check out the program. You can reach me at aphelps@sherethisrael.org. And if you have studio-age children, we very much hope to see them there tomorrow. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi Graf. Thank you, Cantor Glaser. Thank you, Jonathan Dimmock. Thank you, Peter Bonos and Gordon Gladstone, both of whom have been making all of this technology work behind the scenes. And thank you, of course, to Jacob, to your parents and your sister, and everyone in your family who celebrated this wonderful simcha with us today. It's so exciting to bring new adult Jews into their full roles in the community, and we really look forward to seeing what we can learn from you in the future. So with that,
Jacob, but we're looking forward to your kid becoming your bat mitzvah right there on that very same bima. Not so soon, but
well, hopefully not this bima, because that would be a little.
No, not that bima, on the real bima, right behind you, and a little bit down, a few feet down, so that we have another generation of your family here continuing to grow up at Shereth Israel. So take your time. Decades from now, we'll be here. Mazal tov to all of you guys on a beautiful, beautiful job.
Mazal tov.
Thank you.
We'll conclude our service with a song praying for peace, something that is always timely and always important. We ask for peace to come to us again with the words of Od Yavo. Cantor Glaser, please lead us.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Shalom, salam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Shalom, salam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Jacob.
Shabbat Shalom.